Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking this time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Prideful People Will Trigger Anger, Jealousy, and a whole lot more. But for brevity's sake, prideful people triggering negativity. Okay? Prideful people triggering negativity. Some of you all, it's been a journey. You're feeling good, right? Because you got rid of some stuff. And now there's some more things that have taken place since you have some room to breathe now. You know, there's some things that take place when you got more time to pray, when you got more time to read the Bible, when you have more time to listen to professionals about whatever the situation is that you've been going through for a number of days or years or, what have you. Prideful people. A long time ago, I got a taste of some prideful folks. I was a child asking questions. I didn't know that pride was a character trait of people. I had no clue. I was just a child. And I would ask questions. I wanted to know, different things about life, about, what I was seeing, what I was hearing. And I was told to stay in a child's place. As I grew older, I started noticing some things. And once again, be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't ask me this. Don't ask me that. So once again, you're pushed away. You become a teen and you start challenging adults on some of the things that they say and do. Don't you say this. Don't you say that. Don't you tell me anything. I'm a grown person. Da, 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 right? Okay, so now you've been trained to shut your mouth, to be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. So along comes some people that come into your life and you are played like a fiddle. Okay, because you want to get along. You want to go along with different things because you don't want to upset people, because you don't want to go back down memory lane of be quiet, shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. We want to be liked. We want to be favored. Okay. But as you get older, you start saying, no, I am going to speak up and I am going to stand my ground, and I'm not going to turn it on and turn it off when someone else tells me. Some authority figures, I must admit, are like this, and we're not always going to go along with any program. That's why we bind up the spirits. If you listen to the last audio, you know that this is why we are binding up some spirits, because we don't want to be caught up in their toxic mess. We're binding up some spirits because we want to see peace. We want to see love. We want to see overflow of blessings. We want to see hope. We want to see everything, joy. We want to experience these things. So if I got to bind up some spirits, if I got to launch spiritual warfare, if I have to pray against some people, places, and things that are upsetting my atmosphere, then that's what I do, because I'm no longer going along with the program. I'm not going to be the one sitting in the background. Let's just love, let's just respect, and everything will work out. Maybe that works for some people because that's the kind of relationship that they have. But when you have been around people who are manipulative, when you have been around selfish people and jealous people and all of that, you have to be able to go into certain establishments and atmospheres with the full armor of God, knowing that you will not be moved in a negative way any longer, knowing that you will not be the tail any longer, knowing that you will no longer be the heel. So as you mature, you stand up, you speak up. You are not nodding your head to things when you really should be shaking your head. You are not just sitting back and listening to someone insult you. You will speak up and you will speak truth. And if that person doesn't like it, then just like they picked up the phone, hey, they can hang up the phone. If they don't like it, just like they showed up at your doorstep, they can walk right out. And what we don't do is give place to the enemy by being caught up in the enemy's traps. And how does he do it? Well, he does it by using his flying monkeys and minions. He does it by raising up all sorts of emotions within us where we are still weak. So if the prideful person comes along and starts saying some things that trigger all of that stuff from the past, then you just might be susceptible to the falling out, to the rage, to the, anger outbursts and so forth. The enemy lured you into the holiday celebration, lured you into a conversation that you really were not ready to have. He lured you into something by sending you a card, a gift, or what have you. He lured you into something that you had made up in your mind you wasn't going to be a part of, but you went on and you did it anyway for maybe your own selfish needs, whether it was money, opportunity, whether it was sex, whether it was, wanting to be on the front page of a newspaper, wanting favor. Whatever it was, you got lured into because the enemy knew your weakness. And it wasn't hard to find out when they went to your webpage, or when they were on your social networking site, or when they went over and talked with someone who you both are mutual friends with. And then that person gave them some information, you see? And that's what prideful people will do when they want an in. Okay, then once they get an end, then they start spewing out that negativity that some of us are quite familiar with, because we've already went down that path with those folks before God caught a hold of us and took us off that path and started moving us to walk with him. Now, some folks will say, when you're around some people, the witnesses or the minions, the flying monkeys or the golden children or whoever, will say, why are you so angry? You see, because sometimes some emotions are still hanging out there. I'm a witness. It doesn't mean, though, that you're sinning or anything. It's just that you still got some anger on the inside concerning some people, places, and things, because God is still working on you. He's not going to get rid of everything because he wants you to remain humble, you see. If he was to strip everything, guess what? You're no different than the prideful person coming in with all of their negativity, their brainwashing, their manipulation, and everything else. So he's going to leave some of your weakness. I know some folks don't want to hear that, but just hang on a little bit, because God is a righteous God. He's a loving God. And here's what he's going to do with that weakness called anger. Okay. What he's going to do is he's going to show you what still needs to be dealt with. Sometimes it's not about sitting down and having the powwow, as I have said so many times before, but it's about sitting down with the Lord and having the powwow with him, sitting down with the psychologist or with the therapist and having a powwow with them, sitting down with some folks that are more in tune to the type of battle that you're in, rather than with the one who's creating the battle, you see. So, the anger. The Lord says that don't sin in the anger, but the enemy is going to tempt you to sin. He's going to use the prideful person with all of their negativity to get you angry about a situation so that the prideful person can say, see, I've got it all under control. You see, this one that I, was telling you about really is not the Christian. But you are welcome to come and listen to me. You're welcome to befriend me. You're welcome to break bread with me. You're welcome to call me up anytime, and I'll give you this and I'll give you that. And so all of those folks who are easily led by their nostrils, right? When they smell money, when they smell opportunity, when they smell favor, they're going to move away from you who slipped up, who lost control and everything else, and go where the prideful, negative person is until they get burned. Because eventually they do. And so when we see this sort of thing happening, that's not a time to go over there and comfort that one either. No, let them deal with their issues. Let them deal, because you got enough stuff that you're dealing with, right? God didn't remove all of your weaknesses. He's still working on you. So we can't try to fight other people's battles and defend and, stand up when it's not our battle to fight. This is where the Christian can take their feet, put them up on the footstool, put your hands behind your back, and just or behind your head, I should say, lean back, right? And relax. Take that deep sigh. See, because you can see your issues sometimes in other people. God will give you that. He'll give you that because it's part of the process. It's part of healing. It's part of getting away from the conceited, from the arrogant, from the self-absorbed, from the vain. All of this is under that title, pride. The narcissist, right? The bipolar, the psychopath, all under the title called pride. People running away with one word here, there, and everywhere, right? When the main issue always comes back to pride, which is in the Bible, even when all of man's other words aren't in the Bible or woman's words. You look in there and there's pride, and all of that stuff that you like the keyword phrase in the search engine is under pride. It all comes back to that. That's what the Holy Ghost showed me. And so you're angry about some things that a prideful person, a bipolar, a narcissist, a self-absorbed, critical, a cheater, difficult person, whatever you want to call this person. Like I said, it all comes back to pride. You're angry. You're angry about it. You got folks that got black pride. You got folks that got white pride. Once again, it's all under pride. Just because it has a color, it still is a problem for the Lord. Because if we're not releasing all of this stuff that we've got labels for, then it's going to turn into anger. So pride plus all that other stuff equals anger. Why is this person so angry? Why are you so angry? Let's go to the scriptures. James 1:19-20. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak. Right? I told you prideful people are going to call you out of your comfort zone, right? Prideful people are going to lure you into their mess. Then that's when they're going to dump all of their negativity, and then you're going to be put to test. So, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Not every battle is worth fighting. I say that over and over again when it comes to my children coming to me telling me what a teacher says, okay, or what a teacher does. Is this really a battle I should be going up to the school about? You see, we got to pick our battles, especially when the school year is as long as it is. You'll burn out by the time June comes along. So you're picking your battles. You're picking your battles when it comes to family, when it comes to friends. That's why we're slow to wrath. Is this really something I should be really getting upset about? Is this even a quarrel that has anything to do with me? Because I do remember Proverbs, somewhere in there it says that we're not supposed to be getting involved in another man's quarrel. Now we can advise, we can counsel, we can pray, but we don't need to always be that one jumping into a fight. Well, I want to show loyalty. I want to show that, I got my boys back. I got my girls back. Well, how much are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to give up? Now that you say it like that, slow to wrath. Slow to wrath, my friend. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Okay? For the wrath of man, hold on to that. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. How many times have folks been in trouble behind being very angry, being very bitter and upset and ugly at an event or over the phone or behind closed doors, only to be the one to have to go back and say, I apologize. I lost my cool. I shouldn't have said that to your child, or I shouldn't have said that to your best friend, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it to you. See, we've got some authority figures who believe that it's only one side to the argument, and that's you coming to me when you messed up because I'm your and you feeling a title. You see, but there are always two sides to every argument, and then in between all of that is those minions, if you will, the flying monkeys, the folks that don't want to listen to everything. They don't want to see all sides. They only want to go along with their favorites. A wise woman once told me, she said that, I see what's going on. in my situation. I said, oh, okay. I'm not using her exact words because I don't want to identify. But she said she saw what was going on. And she seen that everybody who she had been in contact with, the one with the pride, once again, not identifying, but the one with the pride was going around and saying a lot of stuff about her to other people, which was causing her not to have favor with some that she did once have favor with. They hadn't had any falling outs. There was no issues. She knew that there were certain things not to talk about anymore because she knew she had burned bridges with others. So she was careful. So she said, why is it that now I'm having problems with these folks too? And then she prayed about it, and God revealed to her who was running their mouth. You see, who was stirring up the pot. Because she admitted that, yeah, there were times where she was, at fault. But there were times when she wasn't at fault. You see, if you sit back and you take that time out with the Lord and you find out exactly what is going on and why is it that the conceited, the self-absorbed, the prideful individual is coming around you with this foolishness, then God will show you what is triggering certain events. It may not be the person that's in front of you. It could be some people behind the person that you thought were good friends, that you thought you had favor with. So a lot of times our enemies are those that are closest to us. Some of you all need to catch hold of it. I said that sometimes our enemies are those who are closest to us. How is it that some folks are getting information about your family, yet you're not talking to them about your family? I'm not trying to start World War III in some homes, but at the same time, I am tapping some folks on the shoulder. If you're not talking to certain folks, who is? And how is it that your information is getting back to certain folks? You better think about some of your Facebook friends. Think about that partner or best friend or somebody who you spend a lot of time talking about your personal information with, but yet there's an extended network that knows a whole lot. That's why they got restrictions for certain accounts. That's why we don't talk to folks like we used to. And sometimes the people are not going and saying too much of anything, but there is an illusion that a prideful person comes up with to make it seem like they know more than what they really know. I've encountered that myself. So I say, I haven't heard from you in a while, but yet you're taking interest. I see how you're contacting me. Must be pretty cushy, pretty nice right now between you and those that don't like me. So you treat people differently than what they're accustomed. And then that way it's sending a message. I know you. I know you. I know some people, they just want to do things the easy way, which is kumbaya and let's dance around the fire and have a good time. But if you are walking with the Lord, you know that God is not going to allow you to keep doing that. You're going to, like I said in other audio, at some point you're going to have to face your foe. You knew your enemy. If you read my book, Know Your Enemy, The Christian's Critic, I made you aware of a lot of things that maybe you hadn't known about. Now, in this book, Face Your Foe, on confronting the critics, which turns out it's a volume 1, volume 2 type of book or series, you're going to need to be able to face them at some point when you keep hearing foolishness, when you keep noticing something isn't right. That is according to the Lord, because like I said, sometimes a prideful person is going to say something to call you out. We understand this when it comes to rappers, when they're battling, A lot of times the battle takes place because someone called them out. You may have remembered this when you were at the schoolyard or playground back in the day, and somebody says something to one of your friends about how you are no good, whatever. And so they called you out because they knew you were going to come and confront them on what they said. That's how the prideful person lures you into a fight. And so we've got to stay away from that sort of thing, okay? And then the other thing that we want to be mindful of is that prideful people will also, as I mentioned before, use other people to get to you. And then once they use other people to get to you and they see that it doesn't work, then that's when they come up with some other tactics, which are the gifts, the compliments, the letter in the mail, other little sneaky things. And this, of course, will anger you if you know that the person is up to no good. Ephesians 4:26, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Okay. Because you know that sort of thing will also affect your health. And it won't be long before you're talking about my head hurts, my stomach hurts, my legs hurts, all of these things, because one has internalized stress as a result of dealing with all of these people and their mess. Okay. This is why it is very crucial to fall back from certain atmospheres after a while. Take a personal day from work. If it's getting next to you at the workplace. All of this stuff keeps showing up. I just want to do my job. I could hear someone saying this, but I got to keep dealing with all of the mind games. I've got to keep dealing with folks going around telling this one and that one, something I said, something I did, or they're going back reporting every little thing I do because they're trying to systematically, just get me out the job or, cause me to lose some money by getting me demoted because they really want the position, or they want their friend or their family member to have the position. You see, this sort of thing isn't just at home or at the family reunion or, around a holiday table or holiday gathering. But it's also happening at the workplace over and over again. It happens in business too. How am I going to be able to knock my competitor down, and out? Oh, this is how I'm going to do it. And so somebody comes up with all sorts of tactics. That's pride getting in the way of progress. Why are we so focused on the competitor? Why are we focused on just getting the job done and delivering a good service? Why are we so busy worrying about what the next whoever or whatever is doing, when we should be more concerned about getting what we already started accomplished and making it better? And stop worrying about fighting with every person on every issue. Let's just get one issue solved at a time. Some of you are in business, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so God blesses you with the wisdom, whether it's within or around you, to do what is right, to come up with an effective business plan for the next project, for the next 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, okay? For the next marketing plan. But you see, people always want to think that church people talk about church stuff, or religious people talk about God, God, Jesus, Jesus all the time. No, this affects all areas of our lives, except we like to go into the spiritual realm because we know that the enemy, a lot of times, he doesn't see the spiritual coming. He just doesn't, because he's too busy in the natural, or she's too busy in the natural, worrying about her 5 senses. I'm not concerned about my 5 senses when I'm dealing with the demonic, when I'm seeing people throwing up hand signs and they don't even realize it. I remember being in an interview one time and a lady threw up a hand sign and didn't even realize that the hand sign that she was putting up signified to me what she was about. And when I walked out of there, the Lord said that she's not going to connect you with the job. I said, oh, that's just me talking. He said, nope, she's not going to connect you with a job. The enemy showed you that she belongs to him. And God was right, because she didn't. And I followed up and I followed up. And not only that, finally, I got information that the woman was out of a job. Come on now. Come on now. You tell me that God doesn't fight our battles? Because I'm praying. I'm saying, I don't understand, Lord. And, I just want a job. And the Lord, boop, got her out. That's why I believe in the spiritual. I don't care about all these other folks when they say things like, oh, let's just look at the books and study the books. And, well, everybody's studying that book. Everybody is following under that same, leader, same motivational speaker They're all around the world. We can see what the game plan is. Thank you very much, Satan, for putting them out there like that. You see, that's why in some situations you can't be angry because you are very knowledgeable on the game. You've been in corporate America for quite some time. You've been in the church setting for a long time. You know how the ministers and the deacons and the choir directors and the recruiters, there we say it, the ushers and so forth operate. So you can't get angry when you see the foolishness. But some folks, they're angry because they're still very ignorant on things. They're ignorant about white supremacy. They're ignorant about black supremacy. They're ignorant about certain secret societies and how they operate. So yes, they're angry. But the Lord is saying, if you would just educate yourself on some things, then you wouldn't be so angry. But some people are not only angry, but lazy too. It's just easier just to sit back and mouth off about what this politician said and what this one, did on the, television. It's very easy to do that, but it's a little bit more challenging to find out why Trump says what he says, why Hillary does what she does, why presidents of the past have done what they have done. You've been fed a script. Now go behind the veil and find out what the grand scheme of things is. I'm telling you, I don't just talk about the issues on the home front. Let's go international. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we see over and over again in the media when it comes to the celebrities standing there having a number of different platforms for any given day, for any given opportunity, right? It's always to lead us into something, to get us what? Angry. The prideful person stands there with her pretty little dress on and her nice little makeup to tell us something. And even the way she walks and talks is quite conceited and vain. Okay? Then we get angry about it. And then we end up dumping what? Our money into whatever it is that the puppet tells us to spend it on. Let's get back into the word. Proverbs 16:32, he that is slow to anger, once again being warned, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Let's slow down a bit with this scripture. He that is slow to anger is better. Okay, some of you all, that gives you hope for the next battle. If I'm slow to anger, I'm going to come out looking better. Absolutely. Pat yourself on the back then. Because the prideful person, he or she is going to pat his or herself on the back and talk about how I made him crazy, saying what I said, made him go off. That's what they wanted from the start, to discredit you. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. Got a lot of money, right? That mighty person got a lot of money, got a lot of fame, got all these different connections and so forth. But you were slow to anger when you reacted. Matter of fact, you didn't even react. You sat there and just looked at him. Just look at him sometimes. That decorated little pretty little woman trying to get you angry about something. That handsome fellow standing there with his little biceps and triceps sticking out, trying to get you angry about something, using beauty to distract you. Or what about the minister with the collar? Or what about some of the emotional folks standing there yelling and skipping around stages and so forth? Sit back and just look at them. Is this really something I'm supposed to be angry about? Or is it really so that you can pass that tray around once again? So that you can get me to pull out my checkbook. So that you can get me to join your group so you can use me for my talents and skills. Isn't that what this is really about? So you pull out something that I'm passionate about. Get me angry and all fired up and stirred up so that I can come to your little organization or to your next event and dump some money in your hand, right? Come on. Isn't that what this is really about? And that prideful person wearing that suit wearing those designer jewelry, the designer shoes and the jewelry to match and so forth. Oh, no, they're going to deny. That's what they do. And what are you going to do? Well, you just might get angry. And that's what the Lord doesn't want you to do. Don't do it. Don't do it. Slow to wrath. Slow to wrath. Come on. Come on. Because they're going to be able to get you to follow along with something sooner or later. If not, whatever issue is in front, you're going to end up dispensing that anger in the wrong areas. And you're going to also take your money too in the wrong places. When God is moving you to put your money in certain groups and with certain people, you end up sending it somewhere else out of your anger, out of your frustration. All ministers are wrong. No, it was just that one minister. All those entertainers, they can shove it. It was just that one entertainer, or it was a group. Okay. That's what anger does. It makes us just lump everybody in a category. Oh, these angry black men, they really get on my nerve. No, it was the angry black man that you may have angered when you said something or did something. Or maybe you didn't. Maybe he was just angry that day and didn't like your skin tone. And so now here he is, prideful, and he's going off on some folks. Not all anything. You see how anger makes us look very ignorant. I'll never date another white man again. I'll never date another black man again. I will never go over here and bother this individual again, because those types of folks, they never want to, you fill in the blank. Anger. Their pride showed up and you got angry. Or somebody around you got angry and now you're listening to their ignorant, hateful speech. All homosexuals are, you fill in the blank, right? Oh, you're just angry because, and some, not all, homosexuals are quite prideful. So you get angry because he snapped his fingers and he shook his head and he told you that he didn't like you because you were a homophobe. So now all the homosexuals have to pay because one homosexual said that you were something that you really weren't, because you got folks in your family that are like this. But he didn't know that. You see how a misunderstanding ends up causing all sorts of confusion. And now here comes the labels. And now we're angry and we're bitter. I remember I was angry because repeatedly I saw some individuals sitting in the passenger seat of someone who I was once involved with. And these individuals were of a different ethnicity. And so I started feeling the anger on the inside rise within me. And I'm saying to myself, not only am I upset about what is going on, the fact that we broke up, but also the fact that I got some unresolved issues with a certain ethnicity. And then when I started thinking back, I said, because some folks in my family had an issue with a certain ethnicity and they put their hate upon me. And now I'm sitting around here being mad at folks when I should be dancing and saying hallelujah, then I'm no longer with that individual. And so you see how God starts working with you and he shows you how you are about some things. And then once you deal with that anger, guess what? You can see anybody doing anything and you're like, well, hey, I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm glad. You see, because you're not with that person and you ain't got to deal with all the stuff that those folks got to deal with. You see? So we can turn anger around if we want to, and we could actually use anger to start up organizations that are better equipped to handle folks, whereas existing organizations are not, or have become heartless or cold or don't care about the people any longer. We can take anger and we can basically use it to bring peace to a situation by coming up with all sorts of plans to help others. But a prideful person with all of their negativity is not going to want you to do anything but listen to them, throw money their way, follow them, get you caught up in their foolishness. I want some of you all to just break some of these situations down that you're in or that you're about to face with some folks. Just break them down into little itty bitty pieces and they won't be so huge to you. You know, let's say it's a parenting situation and you're not getting along with, the father of your children or the mother of your children. Let's break down every little detail that they keep putting up against you. Okay. Or coming out and saying that you said this and you did this and, turning children against you and all that. Let's just break it all down. What is really the root cause for all of the issues? Well, rejection, unresolved issues. Do we have to follow suit with that? Absolutely not. You see? Look at the situation on your job. Break it down into little chunks. Okay. These people causing all sorts of confusion, not doing good jobs, their job performance is lacking. There's a lot of, gossip. There's too much talking going on. Okay. Well, how can you fix the situation? Is there someone who you can, talk to that is empowered to eliminate some of the confusion? I remember being in a workplace and there was this one troubled woman always running her mouth about something, never talking about something related to the job, always talking about what somebody's hair looked like. I kid you not. Talking about the clothes that they were wearing, talking about real loud too, with the intention of hurting people's feelings so that we wouldn't focus on our jobs. So I had a surprise for her. I ended up talking with her superior. And her superior ended up removing her. So you see, it doesn't pay. It doesn't pay to be that prideful, arrogant one that's walking around talking about how nice looking you are and your hair and your clothing and all of that and talking all loud about what other people got or don't have. You see, it can always backfire. Prideful people tend to be very immature. They tend to be very petty. They want you to do everything for them when they don't feel like doing some things. God says we are to cut these folks off. We are to distance ourselves from them. We are to safeguard our hearts around them if we have to deal with them. We are not supposed to be giving them all this information about ourselves. So if you have been doing that, I am a witness to this. Stop it. Stop it. We don't owe them any conversation. We don't owe them, especially self-righteous people who think they're better than you anyway. When secretly, you 9 times out of 10 are probably better than them, but they don't want to ever admit that. So we don't give them our time. We don't give them our conversation. We definitely don't give them our money. Our money is God's money, and God will direct our path on who deserves a gift, who deserves some money. Okay? Who deserves our attention? Some folks say, oh, well, isn't that dishonoring? Let's say it's a parent or grandparent or what have you. Isn't that dishonoring? What if it is the parent or someone who keeps causing these problems? It's not dishonoring to cut folks off. It's not dishonoring to love from a distance. We're not even supposed to be fellowshipping with darkness. It's in the Bible. And God didn't put any specific titles. He didn't put any specific titles when dealing with darkness. Darkness is darkness, whether it's a mom, a dad, a cousin, or whoever. And I keep reminding people of this because they keep esteeming folks and letting them into their circle, and then they're not coming out rejoicing the Lord. They're not drawing near to the Lord. If anything, they keep falling away because they keep entrusting these people with all sorts of information. Oh, well, I was listening to this woman on the internet and she said this and that. Do you really think a prideful mother wants you going to her with some information that someone else told you, especially another female? She's going to denounce everything. A prideful, self-righteous, I go to church type of mother does not want you going here, there, and everywhere listening to other folks. A self-absorbed father that's got a lot of stuff going on with him, he don't want you exposing or seeing him for who he really is. So he's not going to encourage you to be looking up any information on any narcissism, bipolar disorder, or anything that he might be going through. A boss that has full control over his staff does not want to hear from you telling him that he should do this and he should do that. That's why if it's that bad, you need to find another job. And then we could go on and on down the list. Ministers don't want you coming to them with any radical sounding gospel. Okay? Let's just be honest. So I thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. I know this was a lengthy message, but some of you all, you needed to hear it from start to finish. And do check the description box for any information to help you in your situation. Also, if you haven't given to this group, please do. NM Enterprise 7, YouTube, I appreciate it. There's always some things that need to be paid for, from marketing to pictures to events that I'm invited to. There's always something. So I thank you so much. As always, to God be the glory.